Criminology Conference 2025. Our speakers today contribute to multiple perspectives that expands our regional and global conversation. It is my privilege to introduce our distinguished presenter for this session, Professor Fatma Al-Harbi, the top cybersecurity woman of the world of the year 2024 and the year 2025. Dr. Joan Hazadouni, distinguished global expert in financial crimes, and Dr. Glenn Mushert, distinguished digital sociology professor. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our first guest to this paper session, Dr. Fatma Al-Harbi.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. مساكم الله بالخير جميعا. Good afternoon, everyone. First, I would like to say that I'm really honored to be part of the first edition of this great conference, the Conference in Criminology in Kuwait. First, I would like also to thank you all for your time and also for showing interest in attending this session. In the next 20 minutes, I will walk you through a journey to talk about one of the most hot topics in today's real world, which is about the integration of AI with cybersecurity, not even AI, responsible AI in cybersecurity. To understand the scale of the problem and why we really need AI with cybersecurity, let's see some of prominent statistics. I'm sure most of you have already heard or seen some of these attacks that are shown here in these slides. The phishing, the deepfakes, the ransomware, and crypto crimes. These cyber attacks are very sophisticated by themselves. They are very powerful. So imagine the situation and how it would be if they are powered using AI. According to statistics from Darktrace, it says that 74% of the attacks that have been reported back in 2024 were powered and generated using AI. And these attacks range from malware distribution to vulnerability exploits, sensitive data exposure, to attack preparation and zero-day threats. And when it comes to phishing, it has been reported that 40% of the emails that were sent in 2022 were generated and powered using AI. And according to a recent report by IBM, it says that $4.88 million was the cost of this kind of cyber attacks. And when it comes to deepfakes, we see also shocking numbers. 61% of the attacks were generated using AI, and the cost, according to the same report or another IBM report, it says that $12.5 billion was the cost of this kind of cyber attack. Ransomware by itself also is very sophisticated. We know, like some of the statistics that I have read back in 2022, it says that the number of ransomware attacks doubled or was increased by 743% compared to the attacks before coronavirus. Here we see another shocking number. It says 48% of the ransomware attacks were generated using AI, and the cost is $4.45 million. Also, we see some statistics for the crypto crimes. So basically, what do we mean by AI-powered cyber attacks? So these attacks use AI to optimize and make the cyber attacks even more powerful, harder to be detected, smarter, and faster. AI algorithms are used to automate these attacks, which is the main objective of using AI, even if we don't use them for cybersecurity or cyber attacks. So they can identify vulnerabilities, they can identify also patterns, and also generate advanced attack patterns and advanced attack paths to make them very hard to be detected. These algorithms can adapt and evolve over time to create undetectable and untraceable attack paths and attack patterns. So the process of detecting them could be very challenging. And we need to keep in mind that the main objective of the hackers is to avoid detection. So as AI is used by cyber criminals to launch their attacks, we as cybersecurity professionals care about using AI to help enhance our cybersecurity posture. So why do we need AI with cybersecurity? We need it to have advanced threat detection. We need it for automation. We need it for continuous system monitoring, for faster incident response, to prepare the incident response plan and also the incident recovery plan. We need it to enhance the accuracy to make very critical decisions according to the cyber breaches that we might encounter. We also need it for proactive defense, for adaptability, and most importantly, to detect the zero-day attacks and to identify them. And I do believe that this is integration between AI or responsible AI, which is the second part of this talk, with cybersecurity is the future of cybersecurity. Trying to cover everything given the short time frame we have, I have partitioned the talk into three main parts. So in the first part, we'll be speaking about overview of the integration of AI with cybersecurity. And in this part, we'll talk about the role of AI in cybersecurity. We will talk about some of the AI-powered cyber attacks and also mitigations. In the second part, we will focus on responsible AI. And here we'll talk about the definition, key principles, the benefits of responsible AI, and how we can build responsible AI in a very brief manner. In the third part, we'll talk about current challenges that we face in the research and also in the industry, but the focus will be on what are the future research directions that we can work on from academia or industry. And here we'll talk about the challenges, the research directions, and what are the common research gaps that we can look at in the research. So let's start diving in this topic. I really hope that you will enjoy it. First, let's start with the first part. So what is the role of AI in cybersecurity? First of all, we need to understand that AI is not a new thing. AI started like 70 years ago when we had the robotics. After the robotics, we have the machine learning. Now we have generative AI, like the GPTs and Gemini and all the other products that are powered using AI. I think in the very near future, we will have the agentic AI. So instead of just give us some hints or some decisions or some recommendations, we can ask the AI itself to take actions. Here we present some of the key components that can be used in cybersecurity. We can use machine learning to identify patterns, to identify paths, and also this would help in detecting, most importantly, the zero-day attacks and the new threats. We can also use natural language processing, NLPs or LLMs, the large language models that are used in GPTs, basically. And this would help us to analyze and understand the human language to identify phishing and other malicious contents. Also, we can use data mining. In data mining, we can extract hidden patterns and hidden data. We can also use it for predictive analytics to help us forecasting future cyber threats, and also in behavioral analytics and automated decision making. And when it comes to the AI characteristics, so we have so many common characteristics that we really need in AI-powered, either in cybersecurity or in cyber attacks. We have automation. This helps us for sure in the speed and in the optimization. We also have scalability. So instead of having the AI model to work basically and focus on specific applications, we want it to be generalized to work in larger scale environments, let's say. We have also some of the characteristics is for deepfake, data poisoning, zero-day exploitation, personalization, the gathering of the efficient data, and also the adaptability. So we have seen earlier in the previous slide some of the most common attacks, and we have seen so many shocking numbers in related to the AI-powered attacks. But here, let's focus on some of the most popular ones. We have AI-driven social engineering attacks. We have also AI-driven phishing attacks, deepfakes, adversarial AI or ML, malicious GPTs, and ransomware attacks. And here, I would like to focus a little bit on malicious GPT. So here we see a common threat model that has been reported in one of the good papers that got cited like hundreds of times. It's a recent one. I think it got published in 2023. And here it presents or demonstrates one of the key attacks on GPTs. So here we see the authors divided the cases into 4. On the top left, we see the malicious user trying to ask the GPT, which is good entity in this scenario, give me your system prompt or give me your system API. In the second one on the top right, both of them are good. We don't have any malicious actor. In the bottom left, we see that both of them are malicious. The malicious user is asking the GPT to please give me the manuscript, whatever, or the steps to generate a bomb, and basically the malicious GPT says, okay, here is the script. In the right bottom here in this figure, we see that the user is good, but the GPT is malicious. So for instance, we basically often do that. We ask the GPT to write an email for us. And by mistake, maybe sometimes we disclose some of the data that is confidential and should not be disclosed or shared with anyone, even the ChatGPT or the GPT in general. So here it says, please, whatever, do the tax for me or write the tax for me, and this is my social security number, or this is my government ID or the Saudi national ID, which is considered confidential and should not be shared. Here, the malicious GPT says, okay, I will do the job for you, and it changes a little bit or one of the digits in the SSN and store it in a malicious database. Here, I will pause a little bit on cybersecurity awareness. We know that these are some practices, and I'm sure most of you have already heard of most of them. But I would like to pause on employee awareness training because the statistics are very shocking. 95% of the attacks that happened in the first half of 2025 are caused due to human error or human factor. So it's not enough to just build secure systems. We need to teach people how to use them ethically and responsibly. And this is why we really need the awareness. Awareness is very important. Here I will show some examples about some of the AI-powered cybersecurity tools. We have the AI-driven firewalls, and on top of the companies that really offer very good firewalls is Palo Alto. We also have AI-driven intrusion detection systems and intrusion prevention systems. And one of the prominent companies that does that is Agentic AI. Also, we have automated detection by Stellar Cyber. I had this discussion in one of the conferences with one of the CISOs in one of the authorities in Saudi Arabia, and he said, you know, Fatma, when we talk about the security of AI, we have two directions. We either use AI to secure our systems, or we secure the AI. So using AI to secure our systems, I think so many people have already looked at that. And now in the research, and this is an open area for discussion, is how we can secure the LLM, how we can secure the GPT instead of just using it to secure us. So now that we have seen a high-level overview of AI with cybersecurity, let's talk about a very essential topic that I'm working on it recently, which is about responsible AI. So it's not about AI anymore by itself. We need to use it in a responsible and ethical way. So first of all, what do we mean by responsible AI? Responsible AI means that what is the AI model that we are using? And what is the data that we use to train this AI model? What is the data that we use to test this AI? And why this AI model is taking and making these critical decisions? So basically, it's a collaboration and integration between design development, deployment of the AI system, and the ethical consideration. And if we overlap these together, we can have responsible AI. So one might ask why we need responsible AI with cybersecurity. We have already discussed the need of AI with cybersecurity, but why we need to use it responsibly? So basically, we need responsible AI to build trusted systems, especially because we are working in a very critical field, cybersecurity. So we really need very authentic and trusted decisions. Also, we need responsible AI in cybersecurity to reduce the bias. Okay, because if we have biased data trained and tested, eventually we will have biased decisions. More importantly, we need responsible AI to improve the collaboration between AI developers and the cybersecurity professionals. We at the Global Council of Responsible AI are trying very hard to be advocate for this concept. Not only this, we also are working very hard to write the first global framework of responsible AI. We have finished writing the first draft of it, and we are working on finalizing the document. Hopefully, inshallah, we will publish it at the World Economic Forum in Davis area next year. So in this framework, we are working on 7 pillars. These 7 pillars are ethical leadership. Ethical leadership ensures that the AI development itself is guided by moral principles. The second pillar is about purpose-driven innovation. And in this pillar, we encourage the use of AI solutions to be meaningful and also to clearly define the purpose. Human-centric, we have very interesting discussion, me and John, about that we look at the AI to be human-centric, so we generate or use the AI to serve the human, not vice versa. Also, we have the responsible implementation, so we care about the security and the compliance of the AI model. Also, we have the AI literacy and workforce readiness. We have transparency and explainability. And this is one of the main challenges that we are facing in the academia, especially or in research in general, that we want to look at the AI model not as a black box. Otherwise, it's going to be unexplainable and not transparent, basically. So this is one of the key things that we need to look at when we work on AI models. And lastly, the continuous assurance and improvements. Now let's look at some of the efforts. I did this basic research on Saudi Arabia and also on Kuwait. So in Saudi Arabia, we have very good efforts on putting some regulations and standards on the use of AI ethically and responsibly. And we have one of the main organizations or authorities in Saudi Arabia is SDAIA. They published back in 2024, last year, the AI adoption framework. And earlier this year, they also released the generative AI guidelines for governments. Also, we have the National E-Learning Center. Also, they already published the framework about using AI with the digital transformation, regulations for the use of generative AI, basically. With the digital education. Also, another entity is the Saudi Minister of Education. They also released guidelines on how we can use generative AI in the education sector, and also the Council of Universities Affairs. Also, here in Kuwait, we see some great efforts on how we can use AI ethically and responsibly. One of them is the Central Agency for Information Technology. They also released the Kuwait National AI Strategy from 2025 to 2028. Also, we have Kuwait University. They also released the generative AI policies. All these efforts are proofs that organizations and even governments, they do realize that using AI is a must, but using it ethically and responsibly is essential. This leads to the last part of this talk, which is about the current challenges and future research directions. Honestly, one of the major challenges that we face is the use of AI adversarially. And here I will show an example of also a very good paper. Also, it has been cited so many times. I don't recall the year, but it's a very recent paper. I think it was published in 2022 or so. And in this paper, we see a demonstration of how adversarial actor can manipulate the decision of the AI. Here we see the data is an image for a panda, but due to some noise that was generated by the malicious actor, the AI decided that this is a gibbon or gibbon, not a panda. Another key challenge that we face is lack of explainability, or let's talk about the bias, because bias is also a very strong and something that we really need to avoid when we work on AI. And here is also another good paper that demonstrated this. So we have this example. So we have this data set that has a bunch of pictures of librarians. And on the AI model, the trained data, they chose this data. So the AI model basically has biased decision. And he said that all women who are librarians are wearing glasses. Also, we have lack of explainability. And earlier I explained it, maybe very briefly. But in general, and at a very high level, when we say that the model is unexplainable, we mean that we look at it as a black box. We don't know the model, we don't know the data, and eventually we don't understand why this AI made or concluded these decisions. So using responsible AI, say, OK, we know everything, and it's explainable. Also, one of the challenges is the scalability issues and also the data privacy concerns. Talking about research statistics to show the importance and that this topic really is grabbing the attention of researchers, not only from academia, but also from the industry. Here is a recent statistic by researchers from Stanford, and it's the 8th version of it. And they are saying that we see a trend on the number of publications on AI. So we see in 2013, the number of publications was above 100K. And in 2023, it's more than 240,000 publications in AI. And when it comes to the people who are publishing, not only people from the academia, we also see people from the industry, from government, non-profit are also publishing in this field. And when it comes to the topics that are selected by these researchers, so we see most of them are working on machine learning. We have also computer vision. We also see this bunch of topics that grab the attention of the researchers. Defining the research gap, here also I have provided some of the key things, but these are just examples based on the recent research that I have done and based on my readings. Honestly, I have started working on AI in research industry 2 years ago. So these are the challenges and also the gaps that I think we have shortage in number of publications on them. And I would like also to add the LLMs. Even though there are so many efforts to have LLMs in the Arabic world, in Saudi Arabia we have Humane, and they released a new product which is Allam. We can say Allam is the Arabic ChatGPT, even though its scale and performance is low compared to ChatGPT. But again, we have some efforts in generating LLMs and NLPs for the Arabic world. And I would really recommend you to refer to these 2 survey papers. I have all the citations and the references. I will show them. So if you can have your camera ready if you want to take some pictures of them. I would really recommend you to read these 2 survey papers because they really tackle this research gap very professionally. Here are also some future research directions that we can also look at in terms of research. We have also federated learning. Now people are thinking about using hierarchical federated learning. And also we have the quantum resistant. We have also the automation of adversarial attacks detection and so many other areas. Here are the references that I used in this talk. Actually, I use so many references. I think I have 3 slides for the references. Yeah. And thank you so much for your time and for attention. I really would like to thank you for your participation and your attendance. Thank you so much.